Hey guys, Mark here from Modus. Today we're talking about handstand kickups and the three main points I like to point out to people when learning the handstand kickup. The 3 points are shoulders over hands, hips up, not legs, and push from your front leg, don't swing your back leg. There are many right ways to do a handstand kickup, not so many wrong ways. If you make it work, it's right. And more advanced practitioners will be able to find many different entries into their handstand, and that's where we want to head. But in the beginning, I want you to remember these 3 points because they help so much in making the handstand kickup a little bit more successful. So make sure your shoulders go forwards, your hips go up, and you push from the front leg. Sometimes you may have been taught to do another type of handstand kickup. And the reason for this can be depending on what you're using the handstand for. For example, in gymnastics, you may learn to start with your hands overhead and enter with your back leg swinging up. This isn't wrong. It's because in gymnastics, the handstand kickup is generally used as an introductory tumbling exercise. So you want that momentum taking you to the ground so that you can use it into further elements. But with our handstand, we want to make it as simple as possible and remove momentum. The more momentum you have, the harder it is to catch the handstand and stop it. So all 3 of these points will help you reduce the speed of your handstand kickup and increase success. The first point, shoulders over hands. I want you to get your shoulders over your hands when you're kicking up and not keep them behind. It's very common for people to kick up and not have the shoulders go forwards at all, which is going to set you up for failure because there's not enough weight over the hands and you'll have to kick way harder to get up. So make sure you get the shoulders forwards to shift the weight into the arms, which allows you to control the element. The reason people don't shift the shoulders forwards enough is because it's scary. The shoulders go forwards, you're putting the weight on your hands, and there's potential for falling to the ground or falling over the top. Now we need to build the strength, the confidence, and the awareness to not do these things, but that's generally why it's happening. However, you're never going to get there if your shoulders stay back behind your hand. So get your shoulders forwards as step 1. Every time you do a kick up, make sure you're practicing getting the shoulders forwards. Step 2, getting the hips up, not the legs. The hips are close to our center of mass, so we want to get the heavy thing on top of our arms so that it's easier to bring everything else up. If you focus on bringing the legs up, oftentimes it leads to arching into the back, causing a bit of discomfort or even problems in the low back if you don't have a healthy spine. So after I get my shoulders forwards, I want to focus on getting the hips up because then I can bring the legs up after much more easily. Just getting the hips on top of the shoulders onto the hands helps you a lot as far as your successful handstand kickups. If you're focusing on the legs, oftentimes it can cause that problem in the low back. Our final step is pushing from the front leg, not the back leg. Even if the other 2 steps are in place, this final step really helps you slow down the speed of your kickup. Generally, people like to swing the back leg. You need to hit the position almost perfectly to have any success, and there's very low room for error. So make sure that when you kick up, you're pushing from the front leg, and that gets the hips on top and the legs just follow. I'm not saying the back leg stays down, but it doesn't swing with momentum on the way up. So those are our 3 main points that I want you to pay attention to in your handstand every time you do a kick up. Even if you're kicking to the wall for another drill, you might think you don't need to pay attention to your kick up because the wall is going to catch you. But if you do every rep to the wall with the same quality you're doing away from the wall, or with the same quality you would eventually do away from the wall if you're not there yet, you're going to have hundreds or thousands of extra reps of practicing your handstand kickup that you wouldn't have otherwise if you're just kicking up to the wall mindlessly. So remember each of these 3 points: shoulders forwards, hips up, and push from the front leg, not the back leg, every time you do kickups, and it will really help you increase the success of your handstand kickups. Now, maybe you've practiced another type of handstand kickup before, and now this feels really weird. It doesn't mean this is wrong or yours is wrong or anything's right or wrong, again, but this would be a simpler way. There's fewer moving parts, even if it feels different from what you're used to. So if you practice this with attention, this will start to increase the success rate of your handstand kick-up significantly. 2 other comments for those of you who want a little bit more detail on the handstands. Starting with your hands on or off the floor and bending the arms. You should be able to do a handstand kick-up in many different ways. We don't want it to just be a linear pattern that you are very limited in how you can use. So make sure that you practice at some point getting your hands off the ground. In the beginning, I actually let people pick what they want. Hands off the floor, hands on the floor for a strict handstand kick-up. Sometimes with other drills, I make everyone do it with hands off the floor because we should be able to do it both ways. If you're doing it with hands on the floor, the biggest mistake I see is shoulders forwards, and then as you kick, you push away because you're afraid of actually putting weight into the hands. If you are doing hands off the floor, what I recommend to make sure the shoulders go forwards and set you up for these 3 points is to get low as you enter the ground. So rather than coming down to the ground from the top, I think of going low to the ground and then kicking my way up from there. Another point that seems to help a lot of people who have a little bit of experience with handstand kick-ups, comfortable doing at least something in the middle of the room, is to practice by bending your arms on the way in and the way out of the handstand. This gives you a lot more room for error management. So when mistakes happen, you can adjust with the arms a little bit more, and it takes even less momentum on the kick-up because your hips don't have to go as high from the start. So when you enter to do your kick-up, you keep the arms bent as you get the shoulders forwards. Now to stack my hips on top, I need a very small push to get myself up. It might look like it takes a lot more strength, but it only takes a little bit more. So it's a really nice idea to play with this elbow bend because then you can make small adjustments all the way up into your handstand. Once again, not necessarily for beginners, but that advanced beginner towards intermediate stage, it's an idea to play with if you haven't done much before. It also helps you really soften coming out of the handstand. So if you practice bending the arms on the way out, it makes for a much smoother landing. That's all for this one. Thanks for watching. Shoot us an email if you have any questions. You can leave a comment below if there's any other videos you would like us to do. So we want to hear from you. It lets us know what you're looking for, and feel free to shoot us an email with any questions. If you want a bit more personal guidance on how to improve your movement practice and develop yourself and your body, send us an email and we can see if we're the right fit for you.